Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Weekly. And guys, I'm Mike Spider Slayer, and of course we have the lovely Cat Comic Uno.
Hey guys, what is up?
And today, if you're not seeing him on the screen, he's just on the mic. This is Dark Avenger C86.
Hello everybody, I'm here. I'm just with child.
Yes. So, guys, welcome back. Whether you're watching us on Comic Book Weekly, watching us on Comic Book Corner 2.0, or listening us to our audio version, welcome back to another episode. We got some major news pieces to talk about this week, whether it's the whole Diamond distribution thing, whether it's Invincible, the newest series that was released, and then, of course, your comic books and all that great, wonderful stuff. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. And, of course, Brant Fowler, I have not introduced him yet, but he will be here. I promise you that. He's just running a little bit late. So until then, you're just going to have to wait, and Kat is going to start the news without him, and we'll get to the whole Diamond situation, guys. So hang tight on that topic, okay?
What's fun about that is that Brant is the only one who's marked like everything down. But the one thing that he hasn't marked down that me and Mike did was that Tokyo Ghost, that Scott Snyder book. Oh, no, it wasn't Scott Snyder. It was Sean Murphy, I believe, who wrote it.
Sean Murphy and
I think didn't he write it too?
No,
let's look it up.
He did the art. I want to say it was Rick Remender.
It makes sense if it is, just because, yeah, it is. So he's also writing the screenplay. So there's going to be a movie. So the guy who wrote the comic is also writing the movie, which I thought was super cool. And I honestly just want to support it in that regard. Like, I think that's going to be awesome. I can't really think of a time of a movie written by the comic book writer.
Yeah. Did you read Tokyo Ghost?
Only the first issue.
Okay. I love that series. And between The Wake and Tokyo Ghost is when I actually fell in love with Sean Murphy's artwork. I thought, hey, there he is, everyone. There is Brant Fowler. He's a little bit late, but he's here. Say hello to everybody, Brant.
Hello, everybody.
There you go. Now
What an
it's
intro.
proven that he's here, and his internet's messed up because he actually said something. So, Brant, we're talking about the whole the one news piece you didn't mark off, which was the Tokyo Ghost situation. So I was basically saying that book was the book. That and The Wake is when I fell in love with Sean Gordon Murphy's artwork. It's such a beautiful art masterpiece, that whole series. I mean, there was The Wake, and then there was that series, and I think that one was so much better. The covers are gorgeous on that book. The characters are gorgeous. Such a great book. I definitely recommend it if you guys have not finished it, just to see what it's like. But it's awesome. It really is a cool series. It's like in a future where people are addicted to technology, and that's what made it so unique.
And Gore Vital says Tokyo Ghost was a wonderful series. I listened to Blondie while reading it. So
That's awesome.
That's a note. And honestly, a lot of our commenters don't seem to know this series. I believe it was a Vertigo series, or was it Image Comics?
No,
it was
Image.
Image?
Yeah. Image.
It came out so close to The Wake that I just remember it came out around the same time. So I always get those two series confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving into some Black Adam news. So we have Pierce Brosnan, who's going to be playing Dr. Fate, which is cool, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, Pierce Brosnan.
I like Pierce Brosnan. I mean, my mom used to watch Remington Steele when I was a kid, so I mean it goes back that far. But yeah, I really liked him as Bond too. So
I remember Pierce Brosnan when he played in The Lawnmower Man. That was before he was like 007.
Yeah.
So that was like one of his first movies, and I don't know. I guess it could be kind of cool.
He looks the part.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, you marked it down. Do you have any other opinions on it?
I think it's cool that we got Pierce Brosnan in a DC movie, and I don't know. I'm really liking the cast for Shazam so far.
Yeah.
Comics are fun, said Future. That tech addiction is happening right now.
I was thinking the same thing.
In a way, yeah.
That is true. So maybe it's just allegory of our present instead of the future. All right. Well, the last media news piece, and then we'll get into some comic news, is that Suicide Squad trailer came out. And solid trailer. I had a fun time with it. I'm not, it's hard with these like superhero movies where I'm just like, oh my God, I literally can't wait. I don't think I ever feel that way. Maybe because also we haven't seen a superhero movie in a long time and who knows when it actually is going to come out. Although this one's going to be released through HBO Max and all that. So I have a feeling the release date will be on target. But yeah, it was fun. That's kind of all I had to say about it. It's just like, it looks fun. It looks better than the original. And it has a James Gunn flair to it, which is nice.
It's definitely different. It seems like they followed suit more with Birds of Prey than they did the first Suicide Squad movie in terms of tone, at least.
Especially with Harley, like just her felt very Birds of Prey.
Yeah, and then John Cena, and a lot of interesting characters. We were talking to Lisa's brother about it, and he wasn't impressed. And I was like, "Oh, Nathan Fillion's in it," and his ears perked up, and he got excited. And I'm like, "Yeah, he's arm fall off boy." It's like, what? So yeah, he's playing a character where he can take his arms off and beat people with them. So that's interesting.
I like this trailer a lot. Right away though, it, like Kat said, it had that Guardians of the Galaxy flair. Like you could tell it was just like. It had that same tone, and just the way the characters were introduced and moved. They were like off the wall characters. It was mentioned in the comments already. King Shark for me, like
he's just eating people all the
that
time.
freaking trailer, dude. He just sat there and ate that guy, and I'm like, no way, they just showed that on a trailer. I was like, that was hilarious. And then we got Starro in there, even though you just saw just a little bit of him, but you know that he's going to be in there as well. But some of the commentary in there and everything was hilarious, and it just made me excited to see this movie. It totally has a different feel from the original Suicide Squad. It doesn't seem like it takes itself so seriously. It's just going to be a fun movie, and I think it's just going to be a roller coaster ride. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. This could have the possibility of being a probably one of the better DC movies, in my opinion.
I just wonder how many of them are going to die because it's such a large cast. Hopefully
John Cena.
Half of them are going to die.
He's not going to die. He has a TV show coming up.
John Cena, yeah. He's also in the current. His character's in the current Suicide Squad series. So
he might be the star of this movie.
Yeah, he might be.
Of course.
It's he's. I have to admit, even he was a little funny in the trailer, though. So it's yeah.
I thought he was good.
Yeah. So he's better when he's not trying to. Trying to really act when he's trying to be silly.
Yeah.
And they came across really nice. But it was fun. It was a fun trailer, and we were joking. Lisa and I were talking about like who's gonna die, and we thought Polka Dot Man, and then Lisa was like, "Wait a minute, he's on the posters. He might not die." So it's like,
you never know with these movies. And again, with James Gunn behind it, I think he's going to give us a lot of surprises. The Starro thing was already a nice surprise. Yeah. I'm curious to see what we're actually going to see from the movie. I'm definitely like interested, but it's hard for me to get like super excited. Like the only movie I'm like super excited for like a superhero movie is Thor, just because I love Jane Foster. So I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait for that movie. But everything else, like, we'll see when it comes out because it's only 2 hours. Like a TV show, you're investing so much more time than a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, moving on to some comic news. We have Nightwing's dog gets a name, which is Bitewing, and it also needs a civilian name. So they're still figuring that one out. And there's also going to be a new villain in Nightwing, which is no surprise because every DC book now has some new villain because they want that spec to go up. But yeah, that's cool. We all love Nightwing here except Chris, but no.
He's a horrible character. Who invented him anyway?
So you can vote online for that name for the dog. So I think it was Shadow, Blue, and Haley. I think it was the 3 names that I remember, if I remember correctly.
I just exit out.
Yeah.
That's the cool part about it. It's like seeing more of that kind of thing, like back in the Jason Todd, whether he lives or dies kind of thing. I like that fan interaction, and of course, Bitewing's a cool name for a Nightwing dog. Come on.
I love
Haley. Haley is winning right now.
Is it?
I figured it was going to be winning out of all those.
I wasn't sure because obviously I liked Blue because the dog has blue eyes, so I like that, and it matches Dick's costume and everything. So I thought Blue would be kind of cool. But then of course Shadow is like obviously kind of fits like the Batman, type of family style name, and then of course Haley is like obviously Harley, so it's just like why not? So either name I'm kind of okay with, but I think me personally I was leaning towards Blue just because of characteristic of the dog.
Yeah. That got in second place. I think actually it was decided too. I think the poll's over, so I'm guessing that's going to be the name.
Haley. Okay.
Yeah, unless they're just like who cares? We'll pick whatever we want. So we'll see what ends when we get in what ends up happening. I also forgot to mention, just because I'm seeing Suicide Squad comments, actually the creator of Suicide Squad is in the movie. So he's the one putting all the bombs in their heads. And I thought that was very cool. And I'm glad they're adding, more comic people into these films, which is cool. So that's Nightwing. Now we're going to go into, this is a new piece. I don't know if Mike saw it, but I thought he would want to talk about it. I know Chris did. There's going to be a Carnage event after King in Black that's going to change everything. It's called Extreme Carnage. We don't know who the creative team is. We just know it's after King. Oh, the event will be, we do know who the creative team is. The guy who's writing Alien and Superman, Philip Kennedy Johnson, is going to be writing this. And it's starting in July.
So it's called Extreme Carnage?
That's literally what it's called. Extreme
Carnage. Carnage event?
I agree with you.
This is ridiculous. How many Carnage events do we have from Marvel?
Absolute Carnage or Maximum Carnage. Now it's Extreme Carnage.
Extreme overkill
that he hasn't done already. Right? I mean, Absolute Carnage was probably like the pinnacle of what that character can possibly do to get the god to come to Earth, and what can he do to top that now? So I'm so curious about that.
I just don't know what
connected to Aliens. The franchise.
Yeah.
The only thing I think of.
I mean that's possible, I guess. I just don't know why we need to go straight from a Venom event to a Carnage event. It's like, come on, give us a breather.
What was the actual details? Like, did it say how many issues or anything like that?
They said that the first issue is going to be Extreme Carnage Alpha, of course. They say all like the Carnage family is going to be the event, and also they'll face their greatest challenge yet. The siblings, courtesy of their big bad older brother Carnage. The Life Foundation symbiotes have always tried to reconcile the sometimes noble intentions of their hosts with the often bloodthirsty impulses of symbiotes. But the Life Foundation symbiotes aren't the only symbiotes who find themselves reinvented after King in Black, and Carnage has plans for his younger siblings. So it seems like it's a family Carnage book. I'm not getting this.
Huh?
What do you think, Brant?
I don't see the need. I don't know that I care about it enough to try it again. Because I mean, like Absolute Carnage, I kind of lost interest halfway through that one.
Right.
So I just don't know if I can invest myself in another Carnage event, especially coming right off a Venom event. It's just it's a lot of symbiotes.
That is a lot. I don't know what the purpose is. I'm always a sucker for that stuff, though.
I know.
I don't know. I might try
the first issue.
I might try the first issue. Yeah.
I think this is a new commenter. Eposh says, "Meet the Carnies."
The whole family. That's a good name for it.
So let's get into some of these big news pieces of the week. Suicide Squad was obviously a big piece, but the comic news, this one's a crazy one. So San Diego Comic-Con decided their special event. I don't know if this is going to be like it's not going to be like their big Comic-Con event, but it's a Comic-Con that's ran by San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm guessing it's going to be at the same convention center. They're doing an event in Thanksgiving, like Thanksgiving weekend. No, I'm good. Who's going to go to that?
You think that? I mean, I don't think that's a great idea. I mean, people are going to be celebrating the holiday with their families and stuff. Is that the best business model for something like that?
Especially after COVID, we spent so many holidays without our family. This is, a good excuse to spend time with them, and hopefully, we'll all be vaccinated. But then also, like, Thanksgiving's like the one American holiday that every American celebrates. Like Easter, not every American celebrates, and not every American celebrates Christmas. But Thanksgiving, most people celebrate that. So you're really eliminating so many people from going. And then even bigger than that, which talent is going to want to go to that? Even if people want to go to the convention, what comic creator, which movie star is going to want to go to San Diego Comic-Con the weekend of Thanksgiving? Now, I guess maybe because it's Friday, Saturday, maybe they'll go. But then all the people who have to work the show need to be there Thursday to set up.
Yeah, and one of the things I was seeing some people talk about on Twitter was like, if they paid for San Diego this year, and obviously they didn't have the official show, are they going to be like charged for? I mean, like, are they carrying that over to this? Do they have to go, or do they lose their money? What kind of spots are going to be available? All that kind of stuff. It's an odd choice for them to choose that weekend in particular.
Comics Fun says, I went to a Star Wars celebration during Easter in Orlando. But again, Easter I feel like is a little different because not everybody celebrates Easter.
It's true. But I mean, I can honestly tell you though that like it doesn't matter what holiday it is, them theme parks with the locals are always packed. It doesn't matter. Universal, Disney, they're always packed. It's crazy. So it's kind of odd, but I mean, a comic convention is kind of different. So I don't know, because theme parks, you go with the entire family, conventions, not everyone goes with the entire family. It's kind of a thing.
There was a convention in Ohio that always took place Thanksgiving weekend until it moved to October. Its last couple of years, but it was a smaller show. And it was mostly local people that went to it. It wasn't like people coming from all over the country, and that's kind of what San Diego is. It's like everybody comes, so I don't know. It's weird. I could see local people going because it's not out of their way, but like making that trip on a family holiday, like that's just I don't know.
I know I told you guys earlier, but I booked my tickets for Orlando MegaCon. August 12th through 15th. So I'm excited. I'm not going all 3 days. I'm just going on the 15th, but I'm excited because it's the first one in like almost 2 years we'll go to. And I'm super pumped about it. And I might get a couple of my books graded that I've been meaning to get graded because they got CGC on site. So I'll probably dump a couple of them there and see if I can get my amazing 300 graded to see what it's at.
Nice.
I hopefully the Comic-Con sticks to that date.
Yeah, man. August I can believe in maybe that actually happen because they actually pushed it back because usually our con is in March and they pushed it back all the way to August. So I can see that actually happening, believe it or not.
Comic Palooza in Houston they announced July, so it's like the middle of July. They're doing theirs now.
Didn't they say that New York Comic Con was back on too?
I haven't heard any official word on it, but I wouldn't be surprised. It's
Michael
October.
mentioned it to me.
That is, I mean, I think I hope I would feel safe enough in October. I have a Comic Con in Boston in August that me and Phil are tabling, and we decided that we'll probably go because we'll be fully vaccinated. So, I hopefully, these Comic Cons take precautions, which I think they will. So we'll see. Any word on New York Comic Con? Someone asks. Yeah, again, I personally haven't heard anything. I guess I think a lot of these Comic Cons are trying to see what the other Comic Cons are doing. So they're all waiting it out. Okay, let's go into our big news piece, which is Penguin Random House is the new distributor for Marvel. So this is huge news. In the past couple of I would say months. I was going to say weeks, but I would say months. We've been seeing Penguin Random House be a distributor for trades for a lot of comic companies. So we've seen it for Scout. We've seen it kind of across the board. I think for DC as well. So the DC trades. Now, the reason this is such a big piece is that Marvel's not going to be with Diamond fully. Like, they still have some sort of relationship with them, but then Penguin's going to be their main distributor of regular comics. This is not the trades. These are regular comics. I actually just saw that someone I know who worked at, it was on Bleeding Cool though, so I don't know if this is like confirmed or not, but someone I know who worked at Valiant for their marketing is actually going to Penguin Random House. So they're also getting people that worked in comics to like work for them, it seems like. Again, I don't know if that was official news, but I saw it on Bleeding Cool. I think we're in a new age. I know it's so hard because, again, I see Tevia's comments and I see so many other people's comments. Is Diamond dying? Is the comic book industry dying? Well, first of all, this is a good sign that it's not dying, because they wouldn't invest so much money to do something like this if Marvel didn't have a belief in their comics. But it's hard to tell. I think that's like the best thing to say. I'm honestly a little bit more worried for the indie comics and what they're going to do, because maybe their only source was Diamond. Can they get into Penguin? Like, what's this going to be? And will Diamond make them pay more? I don't know. I think it's too soon to tell. There's too many moving pieces.
I don't think this is the end of comics in any way, shape, or form. I think, if anything, this makes the industry stronger. You have the possibility of putting your comics in many other different places. I mean, they're the largest publishing company out there. They can, if they do it right, they can actually put comics in more places and make it available to more people. I don't know what that would be, whether it's putting them in bookstores again, or putting them in grocery stores again, or whatever the case may be. But I think they will have that opportunity to do that. And I think if somehow you can get that to more readers, I think that's a good thing, right? I mean, face it, when we were younger, especially Brant and myself, like, we bought a lot of comics that, you saw them in different places, like in grocery stores and drug stores and all those places. And of course, the selection wasn't huge, right? But you would buy a random issue of Iron Man or a random issue of Spider-Man, and you're just kind of like, oh yeah, this is cool. This is kind of cool. And then, like, as you got older, you kind of figured out, you're like, wow, they make a lot more of these. And then you have to go to actual comic shop to buy a whole bunch of them. But what it does, it's kind of like that stepping stone for you to get into, the weekly purchases. So I think it's actually a really good thing. Yes, like Kat said, the independents out there, the smaller publishers, have to figure out something if they don't want to deal with Diamond anymore. I mean, Scout figured out something, right? I think, which is good. So if they can, I think these other publishers can too. It's just very possible that they have current contracts with Diamond and they might not be able to break out of that at this time.
Yeah, I don't quite understand the deal that they still have with Diamond. Like, Diamond released a statement saying something about they would still be distributing certain, comics and graphic novels and things like that. And I don't know if it's like, if the relationship has changed to where they deal with Penguin now, or what that relationship is. Or
what I saw, they're dealing with Penguin.
Yeah, so it's they basically have a middleman, and the terms are going to be different and all that stuff. But it's just, I don't think this is the end of Diamond either. They still have a lot of other publishers that they publish, like IDW
Image.
Yeah, exactly those, and then they have other people that they publish outside of comics too, that kind of thing. So in the book market and things like that. So I think they'll rebound, and I hope they do for smaller companies and indies' sake.
Because it's always been the one, I guess, note is that Diamond has been so hard for the smaller, like me and Brant type of indie people to get into, because of just the way, the amount they take away from, like, their cut is really big unless you print a lot and you go to a lot of stores. So maybe this is a time where Diamond's like, maybe we'll take smaller companies, especially because Kickstarter is doing so well now, and make those relationships. I think it'd be really interesting if Diamond made a relationship with Kickstarter in general. That could change the game.
Yeah, it could.
You know, the problem is though with Diamond is that they haven't changed their business model. They
Exactly.
haven't upgraded any of their technology. They've been the same company for years. And so in order now to stay afloat, to be there, they're going to have to make a change because they're not going to make the same amount of money they did because obviously they're no longer with DC. Marvel ties are cut. So that's a lot of their business right there. Right. So somehow they have to stay afloat and they got to change their business model. They have to do things to distribute properly as well too. They got to change their business.
Yeah, Black Knight said something that I wanted to point out. He said once Penguin has a delay or two, everyone will hate them as much as they hate Diamond. I don't think it's so much delays that people don't like Diamond for, right? It's I mean, there's a lot of things that are.
I would say their business etiquette towards
their
retailers.
Yeah. And when the pandemic happened, they stopped paying publishers too, and they were sitting on all kinds of stock, and there was a lot of issues there underlying that caused like DC to leave and ultimately Marvel too. But before that, it's their business etiquette and practices and the way that they handle smaller companies, and there's a lot of factors more than just delays, I think. So I just wanted to point that out.
I agree. I mean, and I talk to my people at my comic shop all the time, and they are so frustrated with Diamond. And being that they get the DC comics so far ahead in advance, it's a great thing. The product comes in perfect. It's never damaged. The biggest thing that they had complaints about was damaged product. And that there's sometimes that they can't even hand out their comics because the product is so damaged, and that they don't care about the way the condition of the comics that are in. Now, a lot of people read comics just to read them. Some people don't care about the value, but the people that do collect the books for value, for spec purposes, to get graded, that's a big deal, and you should be able to handle your product properly. And I know my shop complains about that all the time. It's a big problem. So, you got to be able to take care of the merchandise. You got to take care of it.
We also had a comment from Comics Fun who says, could this change the whole print on demand factor and indie small press comics? Again, I think it depends on how Diamond handles it. If they continue to do what they do, it's not going to change anything unless Penguin opens up the realm for these smaller companies to do something. It's really in their hands. It's
hard to like, obviously a big company like Penguin could handle it, but like there's been like other distributors through the years. I used to work for one, Haven, if anybody remembers that. It's hard to keep a business like that afloat when all you are handling is small people like us or like a low tier mid-level company and that kind of thing. It's just there's not enough revenue coming in to keep the lights on, unfortunately. But so hopefully either Diamond or Penguin or somewhere will open up an avenue for these smaller publishers and creators to be able to grow their brands as well. So I don't know.
Because that's definitely the biggest roadblock for people like me and Brant, where we have to go to individual retailers to say, hey, do you want to check out our comic, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So it's a little harder again to comic book stores. But yeah, let's Chris, do you have any thoughts on this or kind of similar stuff?
Honestly, at this point with the way Diamond's been going, I think this is only going to help when it comes to distributing comics and stuff. Diamond's been literally stuttering since the beginning of the pandemic, honestly.
So that's our thoughts on the main topic. We are going to talk about Invincible, the pilot, though, because we promised we'd discuss that. Chris didn't get a chance to watch it, but me and Mike did. I'm guessing Brant did as well. How many episodes
watched all three.
Yeah, me too, Brant.
Yeah. I only watched the first episode because it was a struggle to find time to watch that episode. I was going to watch it over the weekend with my friends, and we got to the point where we were like, oh, Kat, do you want to watch your show? And I'm like, nah, I'd rather do something else. So we end up not watching it. And like, okay, Monday came along, and then work week is always hard, and I'm like, all right, I gotta watch Invincible tomorrow. I have to watch it by tomorrow. So I only ended up watching the first episode. But what did everyone? You couldn't wait? Okay, so I'm going to say my opinions because I'm sure it's different than yours.
No. I'm just saying I couldn't wait because I'm such a big fan of the comics. So I did not want to wait.
But you also watched all three, though. So because I only watched the first episode. Now, I am a big Invincible fan, too. But I like Invincible as it went along. Like, I think it's a comic that got better as it grew. Like, I didn't love, as surprisingly enough, I love high school stories, but I didn't love the high school story as much in Invincible. Even though I liked the jokes and stuff, I enjoyed him being an adult a bit more. So I think it felt like it was treading water, and some of it did feel a little dated. I know they tried to update it, but this is a comic from 2003. And I think some of the jokes were like, some of the comic jokes were updated. But I mean, some of like the queer jokes I really didn't like. I think like the way they represented queer characters, like you could tell like a straight guy wrote it. But like, on the side note of that was a small part, but it was good. Like, but I knew what was going to happen. There was no surprises. It was kind of like, it was a little long for me. I also think it would have benefited as a 20-something episode thing, but I think it also and did a good job of converting the comic because it pretty much is the same story, and also the gores and the guts and who Mark is as a character, and the acting was really good, and again the animation was solid. But I just was a little bored. I was a little bored with the pilot.
Okay, so the first episode I thought was a little slow too, especially the first half of it. I thought it kind of dragged out a little bit, and I didn't understand why it opened on the security guard. I couldn't remember. It's been a long time.
Oh, so that was such a long scene. I'm like, why are we not on Mark?
Right, exactly. So that was a little confusing, a little off-putting, and I was worried about it, going forward. Obviously, I just
asked the question: were the first 3 episodes basically the first arc, or
they
was
rushed
it like
things? So like stuff that happened like 30 issues from now happened in the first episode.
The pacing of the show goes a lot faster than the comic does.
Okay, I'm curious.
I don't want to spoil too much for anybody.
I do want to answer a question for a second. Sorry, Brant. Tevye asked me, how are you bored with action and violence? Now, I'm a person, and this is like different from other people. I was actually thinking about that when I watched it. I think, a lot of people are going to like this because they're so actiony. But I'm a type of person who just really likes story and really likes twists and turns and like likes character. Now, I will say this show has a lot of character. That's the stuff I enjoyed. I love Mark's relationship with his family. I enjoyed especially him and his father. But when it came, there was so much action where I'm just like, I'm bored. It's just like there's nothing that was unique action. It was just like, all right, here's a punch there. It's just like it wasn't visually that interesting.
I think once you get past that first episode, like Brant said, it flows really a lot better. The characters start. You get more character development and more characters. So besides, it's more than just Mark and his son. You get introduced, you get Adam Eve in there, and then
the whole team.
you start getting Monster Girl in there. So you start getting some of the other characters that you like in the series. So you get more character development, you get love interest, love story, and then it's also you get the action as well. And the goriness of it. But what I liked about the show, again, is that I love the comic book. But when you see it in animation, it's a little bit different. It makes it more live-like, right? And so this is your superhero story, but this is like the grittiness, the goriness of what it would really probably be like if superheroes lived in the real world, right? Like we see Marvel and DC, and you don't see the gory aspects of what happens to the civilians in the buildings so much, how there's actually death and destruction and people get hurt. And Invincible, you see that, and that's what I like about it so much.
Yeah, and honestly, I thought it was a little gorier than the comic was at the beginning.
Yes, me too.
because it's in animation. With a comic, it's just like, oh, there's one still. That was kind of gross when you move on. But with that, you're looking at it longer, like the last scene, which we won't spoil. But.
Yeah, the last scene with So that was like, whoa, that was like Game of Thrones level. Okay,
I was watching it with my son.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh shit, I'm like. What am I doing to my son right now? And he's laughing. He's like, oh, this is cool. And I'm like, okay.
When that scene came on, because it came on after they popped up the logo, and that scene came on, and Lisa and I were watching the first episode together. She decided not to continue on after that episode, by the way.
Really?
It was a little too gory for her. But we're sitting there, and she goes, "Did you say Mike's son is watching this?" I'm like, yeah. I know. We'll see how that goes, but
I didn't think it was going to be that gory.
I know it was next level with that.
The comic was, so I'm not surprised by that. I am interested to see the whole season. I know this is a show that's going to be released episode by episode, which is interesting because Amazon Prime usually does do the binge episodes, but I am more excited to watch it all together. I don't think I need to watch it episode by episode. But yeah, the pilot wasn't perfect, but I'm glad to hear that the other episodes are better. And I love Adam Eve, so I'm excited to meet her, and I love Monster Girl.
Yeah, Adam Eve was great. It was fun seeing her in these versions. Like Rexplode was like, okay, this guy's a total jerk. I love that.
He is. You see, I know Brant and I saw, but when you see him, what was it in that third episode on what's it called? What he does to Adam Eve, I was like, oh man, that stinks, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I agree with you, Kat. I think that first episode left some to be desired, but overall, I'm still really enjoying it. They've already introduced Alan the Alien. They've already introduced some other characters and stuff like that. So it is definitely sped up, but that means we get to the good stuff faster too, right?
Yeah.
So it's.
And again, that's what I'm excited for. There's so many things that happen after issue 70 something, It's just I want to get there.
I didn't read the first 50 issues of Invincible. I think I caught on it at issue 50. So what goes on with Omni-Man does that happen in the beginning issues of
that's the first 10 issues?
No, I think
is it that long?
25.
Wow.
Yeah. Or maybe it was issue 15, but they were planning it to be. Because I looked at the Amazon Prime, they have trivia on the side, and they're like, this was supposed to happen in episode. Maybe it was supposed to be issue 25, but then they were like, issue 20, they made it. I don't remember, but it was a long time after they revealed it. It wasn't one of the first things. The first thing was pretty much that flight scene. I remember that one. I remember the baseball scene. So for me, I found Invincible when I was in high school because I remember just seeing Adam Eve and she looks cool. She looks like Mary Jane. It's what comic is this? And I remember reading from the war that they had, and I think it was issue 70 something when he left Earth. I'm I should catch up, and I got the trades. But it's been so long since I've read it. I don't remember every specific detail of it.
That's why for me, watching it was almost watching it new, again for me. It's because I don't remember everything that has happened. It's been so long already since it's ended too. And then of course we watched, our last issues that we read was a few years ago already, so I think I'll have fun with it.
I'll say it's interesting as you get into the other episodes, seeing the underlying, what we know about Omni-Man, seeing that kind of bubble to the surface a little bit and him trying to contain it.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a different experience watching that, in animation than reading it. It really comes through. And it's okay, where this is going. Yeah. And so I enjoyed it for that. Yeah.
The acting was really good. I like J.K. Simmons, especially just because he was, obviously if you've seen Whiplash, I think you know his acting where he knows how to play calm, but knows how to explode. So I really liked it. All the actors, they're all Walking Dead actors pretty much, but all the actors were really good. The animation, it's interesting because I think there's parts that are really good. And then there's other parts where the backgrounds and stuff that are really just generic. So I can't say it's the best animated show ever, but it's cool animation. It works. And it's the first, not the first, but an action superhero show that is animated. It's 40 minutes long. You don't really see that very often. So it's unique.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Kat, you're going to like Monster Girl.
I love Monster Girl, so I can't wait to see her.
She's so good. The person that plays her is so good. And I was just laughing, man. Oh, it's great. Yeah. Great. So I like it. So hopefully you will, when you watch episodes 2 and 3, you're going to see it has a little bit more substance to it.
Well, it's like the WandaVision effect. Like I watched the first episode of WandaVision and honestly I didn't love it. Like, and I know that's like whatever, like be patient or whatever. But like I watched it and I was like, oh, it was fine. You know, it was a little slow. But then once I binged it and got to up to that like episode 4, I'm like, oh, I really like this show. So I think it's gonna be the same thing with Invincible. It's just like, oh, the pilot wasn't great, but it doesn't mean the show won't be great. But I'm glad we like, you know, sit down and set to watch it to talk about it on the show. I'm glad we thought of it.
No, I
Time
made it
to
a
watch
thing.
it. I kind of feel bad, but I got to catch up
You
because I love
should.
Invincible.
I made it a thing. I'm like, I'm gonna sit down and we're gonna watch all 3 of these episodes. And then Brandon was like, these episodes are kind of long. And I'm like, yeah, they kind of are, but that's all right. That's good for me.
They are very, again, that first episode was long. I kept pausing it. I'm like, oh my, because again, there were so many action sequences. I'm just like, okay, get to the point. And there was a lot of scenes that just didn't have to do with Mark. I was like, oh, I just care about Mark. I don't care about these other superheroes.
Is that security guard somebody? Am I forgetting?
He's John Hamm. I know he's an actor who's popular.
Oh
so
yeah, that's
why
Madman.
Yeah, like I'm saying, like maybe that's why they showed him so much because it's John Hamm.
Because he pops back up in another episode. It's like what?
He was in the first and second episode.
Is he that guy who ran that security thing? Because he kind of looks like that. I forget what that was called. Because again, it's been a really long time. But there was this guy that kind of looks similar to him that ran that thing. I'm not being very descriptive because I don't remember who it was, but he was like a white mid-aged man. But I mean, they cast John Hamm, so either way, he's probably gonna be important, or maybe he's an original character. I hope this show does that. I think that was what was cool about The Walking Dead. They had some original characters.
Yeah. I'd like to see them do something different. They're I don't know. We'll see.
Yep.
I can't wait till Friday.
Did any of you guys watch Falcon Winter Soldier's second episode?
Of course.
I've only got halfway through that second episode.
Really?
I got halfway through it today. Yeah.
Oh, in a good way or a bad way? Is it boring?
No, I had to stop it because I had to make dinner. So I didn't have time to. I just got through where they were.
Did your cap?
They're fighting on a truck.
It definitely wasn't. Yeah, it definitely wasn't boring. It's there's a lot of action in this one. It's and there's the psychiatrist stuff that they see together and that kind of stuff.
I'm excited for that to watch that. Like I'm really excited for like the more character driven stuff of the show. Like again, I'm excited to binge it all because after that it's Loki.
Loki's next.
Okay.
Yeah, this episode they meet John Walker, so it's like okay, it gets interesting. So Lisa and I watched it Friday night, so I'm really enjoying that show too, more than I thought I would.
I know that they also introduced what's his face from the Young Avengers grandfather. I know they introduced him, so that's kind of cool that there's just another Young Avengers reference.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either. So Isaiah Bradley, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So that was our TV talk. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. We are going to get into our shout out in the comics, but I also have my shout out for myself, which is my Kickstarter. So I'm going to screen share that. Hopefully you guys could go check it out. Here it is. This is they call her Dancer. It's about a young woman who's a dancer/assassin. And when she was little, she witnessed her parents being murdered in front of her and never dealt with that trauma until now. We have 15 days left to have the campaign. We are fully funded already. So hopefully you guys could go support. And that is the Kickstarter. I'll leave a link again. But we do have some shout outs for our Kickstarter from Comic Book Weekly that Brent is going to shout out.
Yeah. So this week's shout out is Jess Patel of Reburn Comic, and that was a very successful comic that launched on Kickstarter. They raised $22,000, and I believe they sent out the digital rewards today. I haven't had a chance to download it and read it, but so if you backed it, you should have that in your inbox. But definitely want to shout them out. They were supportive of our campaign and cool. Yeah, so go check out Reburn Comic when it's available.
We should also mention we have our giveaway for another week, and if you guys could leave a 5-star review for our audio version of the podcast. We've collected a few reviews that we're really happy about, and it's our biggest point system for the giveaway. So if you give us a review, you get even more opportunities to enter the giveaway.
Yeah.
Which, does anyone have the link for the giveaway? Because I do not.
Yeah, it's there you go.
Yeah,
Right there.
Brant made one.
So that's the giveaway. Go check it out, and we have a week left of that.
For those of you listening to the audio, it's comicfrontline.com/Batman.
Yeah, thank you
Good
for that.
point.
That's a very good point.
I'm like, I don't think they could see it if they're listening to us.
That is true. Yeah. Sorry
And
about
then
that.
also, we would just want to thank all you guys who are tuned in tonight, listening to our show, watching our show as well. Got a decent amount of viewers tonight. You guys are leaving awesome, great comments as well. We'll try to highlight them. We'll try to read them off as we can, as we go. We appreciate the support. If you're just watching us for the first time, of course, guys, give us a like, thumbs up, subscribe to both channels. Do all that great stuff. It helps the channel get some traction, lets us know that we exist out there. So are you guys ready to talk about some comics?
Yes, I think we're doing Under the Radar
Under the
first,
Radar,
right?
yep.
Yep.
All
And that's my section. Under the radar, books that we feel are going under your all's radar. So I'm going to actually start off because I only read 4 books this week. It was a very, very busy weekend for me. But I do want to throw this book out there as an under the radar book for anybody who has not been reading Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. IDW has been doing these awesome collections for each turtle, highlighting and spotlighting specific moments for each turtle. So far, we've had Donatello, Raphael. This week, Michelangelo came out. So if you would like to check out Michelangelo's spot, well, goodbye, Cat. Fine. I don't need to tell you about Michelangelo anyway. So if you'd like to see some spotlights on Michelangelo in the current TMNT run, thank you for reminding me to show the spoiler alert. Check this book out. It's highlighted throughout, I believe, all the issues up until 101 so far, if I'm not mistaken. So that was my under the radar and a little promo for TMNT. Mike, do you have an under the radar this week?
I do. And mine was actually Miles Morales, Spider-Man issue 24. 2 reasons. One, I have to let everybody know that the next issue is the Clone Saga for Miles Morales. So
You got to keep us updated on that. 'Cause I
Now's
don't know
your
if I'm
time to
trying
jump
it out.
no.
I was just going to
There's
say, I might
no
jump in.
keeping update. You're gonna read it, Kat.
No.
Yeah.
I might
I'm
read
gonna
it.
Make you read it.
We'll see what
I'm
the
reading
week is
it.
looking like. You can remind me if I'm getting like 15 comics, I'll get it. If I'm getting 20 books, it's not being read.
You haven't bought 20 books in a long time. So
No,
No,
that's
I
true.
haven't,
You're
but
gonna
you
be
never
getting it.
know. I
Yeah.
got 7 books this week.
Can you jump in cold, Mike? Because I'm way behind on that series.
No, I only read this issue.
Okay.
And this was a filler issue. Before this event started, but I wanted to see if it had something kind of leading into it. That's the only reason why I bought it. But it was a pretty good book because it was Miles together with Kamala, and they wound up having kind of like this ice cream date with each other, and they talked about how past relationships didn't work out for them, and it was kind of an awkward conversation. But at the same time, they were like, "Yeah, I'm done with dating," and she's like, "Yeah, so am I," and they kind of just walk off together. It's kind of like, maybe there's something there that could happen in the future between these two. But really, it was just an issue with them playing basketball together. They stopped this greedy landlord that wouldn't fix up an apartment building. There was nothing really, I guess, monumental. It was just kind of that palate cleanser before you get into that huge event that is coming. The only thing that it had to do with the Clone Saga was he went home and his parents were like, "Oh, are you okay? There's someone posing as you doing this bad crime." And that was the very last page, and it just says Clone Saga to begin in the next issue.
I
So
hope it's not disappointing, man.
Yeah,
There's
I
been
hope.
so many Miles clones out there, and I haven't liked any of them. Also, even going back to the love interest thing with Miles, I feel like they've just been trying to have someone with him. Like, remember the Spider-Gwen stuff? That didn't stick around. It's just like they don't know what to do. Honestly, in general, I feel bad they don't know what to do with Miles because I love Miles as a character, but I haven't liked his stories in a while.
Right. Me either. But I can say that this relationship that they had with each other in this particular issue, it just seemed very genuine, very organic. It wasn't seemed like it was forced. It was like kind of that they could have something in the future. It was just like kind of like how two kids would react when they're not sure if they're into each other. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was cool. It was not a bad issue. Definitely surprised me a little bit.
Cool.
What was your under the radar this week?
Who?
Which person? Yeah.
I'm sorry, Grant.
Mine was
Everybody.
mine was Firefly: A Brand New Verse, #1. This is set 20 years in the future after Serenity and the movie Serenity, and it's like one of the central characters is the daughter of Zoe and Wash, and Zoe's taken over the ship. Mal's gone off somewhere. We don't know where he's at right now. So it's like if they revived it with a brand new cast and just like some of the old, it's kind of an interesting concept, and it kind of gives me hope that maybe they could do something like that down the line, if other things weren't a factor. We won't talk about that, but right, Kat?
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
We actually, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was a good first issue that did a really good job introducing these new characters, and the daughter's name, which I cannot remember her name. She's so much like her mom, Zoe, and she's sticking her foot in her mouth a lot, like Wash. So it was a cool little introduction to her and getting to know her, basically getting the entire crew in trouble by accidentally broadcasting that they're carrying illegal goods as they're like coming into a port. So it was I thought it was a solid first issue for this series. I don't know like where it's going yet. It was just basically introduction, but I enjoyed it as a Firefly fan.
It's funny that BJ, did Year Zero come out this week?
Yes, it did. It actually was my original under the radar.
That's what I thought. I'm like, wait, you went already, but it was Miles Morales.
Yeah, but he says, what are the similarities and differences between The Walking Dead and the Zero Year? Well, in Zero Year, the only similarity is just that they're zombies. And in Zero Year, there's different points of view from all across the world that people are dealing with this zombie apocalypse and how they handle the particular situation. So this time around, it was like a pregnant girl where she was stuck in a store and she delivered a baby. Right. And then there was a guy on a fisherman boat with his grandchildren. And then there was a guy that was like this doctor in Africa who went to another village to save people and sacrificed his life for it. So that's kind of what it is. Just different little stories, different perspectives, where The Walking Dead was a group of people dealing with the situation. So that's your differences between the two series there.
All right. I think I'm... Were you going to say, Chris?
All for Brent? Did Brent have anything else he wanted to say before I move to Kat?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Kat, what was your under the radar?
Mine was a book that no one reads here. White Knight, Harley Quinn. It's finally over. Not in a bad way, but it was a bit of a long series. And I thought it ended really well. We had the one of the hyenas die, and Harley kind of celebrate its death by like wearing its collar. She has a new costume, and she's definitely more of a hero in this version, and like being her own hero, not really a sidekick. So I thought it was a cool Harley story. I am interested to see where the White Knight universe is going to go after this, because I overall like it. And this was a pretty solid miniseries, even if it didn't have to be 6 issues long.
I dropped it. I only read
understandable on that
2 or 3. Again, I don't think it was a bad series. There's so many other books I was reading, and I just kind of fell off of it a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those books, like, again, I like Harley, I liked White Knight, and I think every single time it came out, I wasn't getting that many books, so I was like, okay, let me see where it goes. And overall, I thought it gave a nice note, but I don't think it's as good as the other White Knight. Yeah, it's definitely not the same. But it does progress the story well enough, so, I'm sure that they'll fill up the pieces for the next stories, though.
Right.
We do have a question from BJ. why DC Comics are so expensive. I
Cheaper
think
again?
they're just trying to make money, you know, and they're just trying to make money out there. I don't think they're too expensive. I don't love the idea of like the Justice League books where they have like the Justice League Dark backup where you do have to pay like an extra $1, but I don't mind like what we talked about a couple weeks ago, the Batman anthology book where it's like, okay, you kind of know what you're getting with that. So I don't think they're horribly expensive. I hope they don't continue that backup stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, exactly. At least with Batman this time around, you had the Robin story in the back, so it kind of made it worth it. But
and it wasn't that many pages, so I don't think it was even included as a extra $1. It was just like I think it was the same price.
I think it was $5.
Oh, was it $5?
Yeah.
Oh, I can actually check. I have it in front of me. It was $5.
Yeah.
But yeah, that honestly, the Robin story kind of felt short, but I think it was just because it was so good.
Maybe it was good.
All right. So everyone went for Under the Radar. So I guess we're heading into the big books, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So this is the time of the show where we talk about our, the big books of the week, which wasn't there really that many big books this week and their top 5. I can honestly say that I was quite disappointed with quite a few books this week. And my top 5 is a weak top 5, but I do have probably a strong top 3, maybe 4 books. That's just me, though. You guys could love your books. I
have a strong top 1. Like, I like my pick of the week a lot, but this number 5 is a 3-star book, so I don't know. I had 7 books.
I like all mine.
Grant had a good week.
Yeah, I read, I think 10.
4 books.
So Chris read 4. Yeah, we're doing great this week.
I read 14, I think.
Oh man,
Did you really?
You got pickings.
Yeah, but just some books were just average. I built up too high in my head, and they weren't as good as they should have been, or maybe I wanted them to be. To me, Spider-Man still sucked, but that's just me. I just don't like Nick Spencer, man.
I got 7 books this week, and Spider-Man did not make my top 5, so that's saying
I think
something.
Grant liked it. He was shaking his head. I think he liked it. We'll find
Grant
out.
likes this arc for some reason.
Yeah.
He likes this arc. I just thought it was very fillerish. It definitely is not the worst of Spider-Man. Like, there's some parts I liked. I like Boomerang being a little sad.
Yeah.
I like seeing MJ, but I like the cliffhanger, but it's just like kind of boring. There's not a lot going on.
Right. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's jump into the first book. I'm curious to see what everyone has to say about it. Teen Titans Academy, issue 1.
What you said about being disappointed, this is the one that I was super disappointed.
Okay, thank you.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, fine.
Okay, here's my expectation. So I had high expectations for this.
Me too.
However, it's still in my top 5 because there was books that were worse than that, in my opinion.
Let me tell you something. I read 7 books, and this was number 7. I just thought it was so wordy. It was hard to understand what was going on. The only character I kind of liked was Stitch because she was kind of random, and I liked her. But yeah, it was just there's pieces I liked. I liked Roundhouse, and I thought it was cool that they were upperclassmen. The Red X stuff is fine, but it's just so much for one issue.
Yeah.
It was just boring stuff too. It was just standing around in a hall, chatting, catching up, but that kind of thing.
Cool. I liked it.
Chris likes slice of life,
Slice of life is fine, but you still need something to happen, and there was nothing happened.
It was Nightwing's birthday.
That's the definition of nothing happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay.
Just for the record, out of the 10 I read, this was my number 9. So not far off from you, Kat. So I was I like you, Mike. I had this built up so high in my head that I wanted it to be so good, and then I got this, and it was like, this is not what I wanted.
But didn't it suffer though the same thing as it did in Future State? I thought it would be better because things were kind of misplaced, but it still felt the same way. It was
disjointed.
All disjointed, all over the place. There was just hey, let's let's welcome the new recruits. Oh, we're going to have a birthday party. And oh, look, the current Teen Titans are out on a mission. But then all of a sudden they're back at the academy again. Let's meet all the new characters. Let's check out this new guy by the name of Brick, who seems like he's going to be a major player in the future. And it's just like they're trying to do so much. And then who's the people off on the side during the birthday party? Like the brat girl and like the people
they
that
were in Future State
or something.
This reminded me of X-Men when Wolverine took over the school, the Xavier school, and all the new students came in.
Yeah, but they were at least doing things. These kids were just sitting there.
And they also like introduced them. Like again, everyone was introduced in a group. Like when we saw you only got their personality through one word. Like the best example is like there was a panel where they're all like, "Oh, are you here?" There's literally a whole panel where they're like, "Are you present?" Like they're taking attendance, and that's like a whole page. And the way they say like, "Yo, I'm here, present," and then that little doll person said president. Like that's how we got personality from people. That's all we had. We didn't have real interaction.
Maybe I needed to read more books this week. I only read 4.
Hey, if you liked it, don't apologize for it, man. Just you like it, you like it.
Right.
I like it.
There was just too much going on in the book, so they didn't have time to, like Kat said, to show the personality. Like they could have eliminated. Like, why did we need the birthday party? We didn't need that. That's 2 pages.
Well, he needed to get the mask, I think, because he was just like, oh, there. Remember those days when I was Red X?
So the birthday was a plot device.
Why did Red X in the first issue? You didn't even have to do that in the first issue.
Yeah.
Like, just get the students there. Introduce some of the students. Don't even worry about the current Teen Titans. They were forced in there. Like Roundhouse and Kid Flash and all them. They were forced in the book. They didn't have to be in there.
Like, if more of the interactions were like Tubies and Roundhouses, I would have been fine with it. I think that was an interesting interaction and meeting and that kind of thing. So if you sprinkled that kind of stuff around, I wouldn't have minded as much. But just everybody sitting around in the hall, just kind of being there, was just kind of boring.
Here's a question: did anybody read the Future State one that leads into Teen Titans Academy?
That was just a reprint of the stuff we read from Future State.
Okay. So for me, it's new. So I have actually a top 3 then, because if it's a reprint, I just read the reprint.
It still came out this week, so you can include
you can still talk about it.
Because that actually set me up for Titans Academy.
Yeah, and I thought there was more to grab onto from the Future State stuff,
right?
Personally, but
there was, but like. For me, it wasn't good. Like, I think there was more, like, because Dick Grayson was mourning and there was, like, stuff like that. There was more plot.
It was like,
But there was plot. Like, there was something happening. I can't even tell you what happened in this book. Like, what was the plot of this issue? There really wasn't any.
Just to introduce the mask and to set up that one character that something, is it Brick that you said? Yeah,
Brick.
That's basically it, really, that I can recall.
Serenity made a good point. He did say that the artwork was beautiful, and I do agree. I like the artwork in the
the art is nice.
Yeah.
It was, but the book was so wordy that you couldn't even focus on the art. There's so many bubbles in covering the beautiful artwork.
Yeah, I like a lot of the characters. I hope that going forward we get a little bit more development, a little bit more action, a little bit more drama. But this first. If I was going to base what I was reading this book on this first issue, I don't know that I would continue.
Yeah.
I don't honestly. The thing that's carrying me through for both, I like Suicide Squad more, but like carrying me both for those books is how that crossover does. I think that's a really good point to see. Like if that crossover is bad, I'm going to drop it because at that point it gave both 3 issues.
Yeah.
I think the crossover will make or break the series. Both of them.
Yeah. They just need to eliminate so many characters on the page. Just. You know what I'm saying? It was like kind of Strange Academy suffered a little bit of the same thing in the beginning as well. And now it's kind of coming into its own a little bit, but you can see how long it takes for a book like that for you to get attached to it because there's so many characters, trying to get panel time. How do you get attached to any type of character at all?
Yeah. And what was up with Mr. Nightwing, Miss Starfire?
That was weird.
That was a little weird. Yeah.
I think they're trying to make the book, this is not a stretch, like an X-Men book, which I guess was kind of cool, but it just didn't have any of the heart of the X-Men, It was just like... Yeah. And also, like, they weren't really teachers. They didn't do anything to teach. They're just like, we're
No.
here. You want some cake? That's all they did.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, so there's Teen Titans Academy. None of us really liked it all that much, but we're still going to be reading it to see if it gets better. It might take some time, so we'll see what happens. All right, here we go. The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 62. Now, I did say I did like this issue better than the last issue, and I didn't hate this issue. It's just nothing really happens. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like that with every Spider-Man issue. It's just going back to a story thread that was introduced a long, long time ago, and they're trying to tie it up now. So, but I do like the, I do like how the rivalry kind of starts to brew again with Tombstone and what's his name? Robbie?
Yeah.
Robertson. So I like that, and they see that through their kids now, and they got to find it quite interesting that their kids are hooking up, and they're just like, what's going on here? So does this bring them closer together, or does this make them like even more enemies now than ever? Right.
Yeah. I thought that was an interesting thread, and also, I mean, the same reason that I enjoyed this issue is the same reason I enjoyed last issue, is that it was a nice refresher from what we had been getting with, the previous arcs. And it was taking it back to those earlier arcs where I actually did enjoy this run. So, I mean, that's why I'm kind of like nostalgic in a way for that early part of the run. And I like Boomerang. I like that relationship between him and Boomerang. I like reintroducing, Randy and Tombstone's daughter, the Beetle. And all those aspects of it, I thought that was the fun part of the book, bringing in that supporting cast again. And then like the interaction with JJ and Robbie at the restaurant, that kind of thing. It was fun for me, and that's why I enjoyed it. So
It's Brant's number one pick.
No, it is not my number one.
It's number two.
They spend a lot of time with the whole COG situation for absolutely nothing. Like, it's like, oh, he happens to get shot in the collar, and the collar breaks, and
that was a little convenient.
Exactly.
It was most of the issue too. It was just kind of boring, and there's like, in my opinion, there was only like 4 good pages out of like 30 something, because usually Amazing Spider-Man's a little longer. So 4 good pages, like that's not doing it for me. But I like the cliffhanger.
Right. I mean, that's just been my big gripe about Spider-Man in general. There just never seems that there's anything at stake. The only time he ever felt that was those couple of issues when he was fighting Kindred. And besides that, we're at 62 issues, and you just never feel like anything is just, Peter's in danger for anything. There's just never something really there for him worth fighting for. And I think that's my biggest gripe when it comes to Spencer's run. Nothing at stake, man. It's just, we'll put Kindred on ice, and we'll see him at issue 98. And that's what's going to happen. And then it's going to end at 100. And then you're going to get the Alpha issue 101, and Nick Spencer will leave. And then you're going to get Dan Slott coming back to Spider-Man
with issue 900.
I feel like we're gonna get Kindred. We're gonna get Kindred for like an issue, and then he's gonna take a backseat because we're gonna get the what's his name? Where they undo
Chameleon?
One More Day. Who?
I thought
Mephisto.
Chameleon.
Mephisto.
Chameleon's
We're gonna get
the
Mephisto
next
stuff.
villain we're getting.
Yeah, getting Chameleon.
Mephisto, we're not getting for a while, because we had that
No.
weekly event.
Yeah, you're getting the I forgot what it's called. Whatever it is.
I don't even know. Yeah, whatever it's
Chameleon.
called. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all through June, and you're gonna get it like an annual. So it's a weekly thing at $4. $4 a book. So
And you're not getting anything big after that, because that's their big event.
all right. Last time Chameleon was in a story, it wasn't really that great. So hopefully this one will be better. We'll see what happens. Second Alarm Comics says, would love Zdarsky back on Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love that too. But I think he's doing more DC stuff from what it looks like.
Yeah, I think his plate's full, man. I really do. I think he's also doing I did my top 10 most anticipated today. He's doing an independent series.
Yeah, Silver Coin.
Silver Coin as well. He's writing a story in that. It's an
He's
anthology.
He's only doing one issue though.
Oh, is he?
So I just, I guess not spoiler alert, but whatever. I just worked on an interview for it. But so the artist is actually the same artist for every issue, but it's a different writer. So it's like the reverse of what you usually get for an anthology.
Yeah.
And it's everyone he's ever, like people he's worked with in the past, like books that he's worked with. And then he, Kelly Thompson's on an issue for Chip Zdarsky's on the first issue.
Yeah.
And then Kelly Thompson will do an issue, which I'm really excited for. I think that's going to be cool.
I heard Jeff Lemire's on it too.
Yep, Jeff Lemire is on it. Ed Brisson. So it's gonna be cool. I'm really excited for that. And Zdarsky did some Batman stuff. He's also doing the Spider-Man miniseries. If Peter Parker was Venom.
Yeah. Yes. I cannot wait for that. I think that's gonna be awesome.
I'm excited.
All right. So we talked about those two books. So let's move on to our number 5. My number 5 is that Teen Titans Academy book just by default. And I read 14 books, but there's so many books that were disappointing. I was like, oh, yeah, like I liked Year Zero, but it's just, again, it's an anthology type of story almost. And it's like a duplicated carbon copy of Volume 1 almost. So like I couldn't rate it any higher than this, So yeah, I'm sorry. Not a really good 5. Brant, what was yours?
Mine was my Under the Radar Firefly, a brand new verse.
Gotcha. And I know Chris doesn't have number 5. So Kat,
not this week.
Mine was Scumbag. I thought it was a pretty fun issue. Not a lot happened in this one, which is why it's a little lower. But it's him, relishing being a hero and him still being a scumbag, and that's pretty much the issue. Not a lot happens.
Both sides.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's playing both sides. People are finally liking him. Artwork was a lot of fun. It's just a fun book. I enjoy it.
It's all right. I mean, I am getting kind of tired of the over excessive like drug use and sex jokes and stuff like that. Like I get it. Like that's his personality. But I said this before. It just reminds me of like Deadpool's like personality like that. Just kind of gets a little bit tiresome. And I just want to see if it's not going to be so repetitive. You know what I'm saying?
I want him to grow as a character.
Yeah.
And I saw that in the last issue a little bit more. And then he's like kind of reverting back. So I agree. I want to see some growth because it is a little bit at a standstill, the story.
Right. Exactly. All right. So everyone went for their number 5, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's talk about Detective Comics issue 1034. It's hard to believe it. 1034, man.
I did get to skim it. I'm okay with the artwork for it.
You're okay.
It's
Dan Mora.
Well, Chris
Can't talk about the story. I can't talk about the story, so I gotta say I love the art because that's all I know.
You said
You said you're okay with it. It's Klaus art.
Let me explain why I'm okay with it because I hated action. I hated Action Comics art, and everybody thought I was gonna love action this week.
Oh, the Action Comics
So
in general.
I actually wasn't sure about Detective, and I thought I would like Action. I would read Detective before I read Action because of the artwork alone. And Dan Mora, exactly.
Detective was like good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it kind of gave you everything you wanted. You got a detective story, which actually is like a very like it's the generic. I don't want to use that word because it's not. It's far from generic, but it's the murder mystery we always see. Like some rich person dies. Let's see what happens. But you never see it with Batman. So it's kind of cool to
Bruce.
Yeah. So Bruce is now dealing with this, and I thought that was really cool. And I liked how, so we were talking about Titans Academy, and we talk about Detective Comics. There's a lot of new characters in Detective Comics, but the way they introduced them compared to Teen Titans Academy was like, that's how you do it. It's like, okay, I get it. Like they give us a little bit, and I understood everyone's personalities. The character designs look different enough. You're like, okay, I could tell that's this person, that's this person. It was only like 5 or 6 people. They did a really good job of introducing everybody, and then obviously one of them dies, but I really enjoyed this. I thought it set up really well. It tied into Batman really well. I'm really looking forward to more. And then the Robin story was really good. And Connor Hawke is there. So I really like both stories a lot. And I'm stoked to see where Batman goes. And I think Detective Comics has not been this good in a really long time.
Oh,
in
yeah.
my opinion.
So I liked it too. I liked I liked his whole Batcave, like his whole explanation of how he came up with this version of his Batcave. I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, Kat, you nailed it on the head when it came to the introduction of the characters. There was a few characters, but it wasn't overwhelming. It gave you enough to understand who they were. And if you wanted to go back a couple pages just to make sure things were happening, it's like, oh, there they are right there. I can find, okay, it was this person. And then you go back, you can reference it again, you know, and it was cool. But when I got to that Robin story, I was like, I am not again, we know I don't have the history of DC. So when I saw Hawk, I'm like, I didn't know that he had a son.
Yeah, so he had a son, I mean, for a while, but like, yeah, pre-New 52 is when he was more involved, but that's Green Arrow's son.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I saw Hawk and I'm like, who's this guy? I'm like, is he new? I'm like, whatever. I'm like, he looks pretty cool. So I didn't realize who that was. So again, call me stupid for not knowing, but I didn't read DC at all before New 52.
But I'm excited for that too, because I think they'll reintroduce him and for new readers as well, hopefully.
Right.
And how fitting is it if Robin gets in that tournament that you have the son of Batman facing up against the son of Green Arrow? That's kind of cool, right?
And then we also know that Ravager is going to be in the Robin series too. So there's a lot of like interesting children in this book, you know?
Yeah, that's really cool. I love Damien's choice there. It's like, you know, she gives it to him, you know, lays it out in the Robin story, and he just like jumps out of the plane. It's like, yeah, I'm choosing the Bat. I love that. You know, it's a redemption quality for Robin, which was nice. But going back to Detective, yeah, it was. I love that he got introduced to all his neighbors finally, and you know, some of them have ties to what's going on at the mayor's office and that kind of thing, and with the cliffhanger with I guess his name is Neil, which was, you know, one of the neighbors as well that wasn't at the party, and just little things like there was a character that worked at the mayor's office that reminded me of the Riddler before he became the Riddler, and his name was Hugh Vile. Which I told Lisa they totally stole her username, Hughville, online. But yeah, it was like I could see this guy like slowly becoming like this villain character because he's just like this shy guy that everybody kind of craps on at the mayor's office. He's going to turn and become some kind of villain later on, and he's got a villainous like name, Hugh Vile. Come on. So yeah, it was a really good first issue of their run. I can't wait for more.
But even those other characters, like the other characters introduced, the other, the other children, I think they're going to be something as well. I mean, obviously they're suspects, but I have a feeling Mariko's going to do more with them.
Oh, of course.
So I heard that Dan Mora is not going to be on the artwork for very long on this title. What I heard was that the current artist that does Wolverine is going to be taking over Detective.
I could see that.
Actually, his artwork is actually really good. It kind of has a Greg Capullo type of feel to it. His characters are very similar. So I think it's going to work out okay, but it just sucks that Dan Moore is leaving.
Yeah.
Because that happens with Mariko's books all the time. She just gets such amazing artists, but it's only for the first arc. And it's just like, man. But I really think her voice fits so well for this. And I'm really excited for more.
I mean, I'm really bummed. I love Dan Moore's art, so I'm always bummed if he's going to be off a book. Yeah. But I do really like the art in Wolverine. I remember we talked about a couple weeks ago that one scene where it was like the 20 panel grid or something with the Yeah, so that's nice. I could see that.
Yeah, I think it'll fit well. It's just a shame that he's leaving. It's just like, but that's comics today, man. You just don't get those. You just don't get those artists that last. You know, it's a shame. All right, so that's Detective for you. So we'll move on to number 4, and number 4 for me was Detective Comics. So I thoroughly enjoyed that book. So, Kat, what was your number 4 this week?
Mine was, let me see, I think it was Power Rangers. Yeah, it's Power Rangers issue 5. Did you read this, Chris?
I did read Power Rangers 5, yes.
Yeah, I thought it was a good issue. I'm not like a huge sci-fi fan, so it definitely dug a little heavier.
I love Zach and Jason pretending to be bandits or
Yeah, I thought that was cool though. Even though I don't like sci-fi, I thought they did a good job at grounding it. But I actually like the Lord Draken and Trini stuff probably more. There are some characters introduced here where I was like, I knew who they were, but like I'm sure other Power Rangers fans will be more excited. I'm like, okay, cool, I guess. But yeah, it was a good issue. I enjoyed it, but I like the I don't know if you read it, but I enjoyed the issue where they're on the ship and it kind of felt like aliens. I enjoyed that one probably a little more.
Go back yet. I've only been going forward.
It was cool.
Okay, cool. So Chris, what was your number 4 then?
The spotlight from Michelangelo.
Okay, that's right, because you talked about it. All right, and Brant.
Stray Dogs number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying this series, man. It's just so much fun, and the dog remembers the killing of her owner again, and
it's
still trying to look for clues. Yeah, the scarf brings back the memories and everything, and so like the lead dog that looks like the dog from All Dogs Go to Heaven is like trying to help, and he gets all in trouble, and like you don't know what's going to happen to him. He gets locked in the shed, and by the end of the issue, it's like, oh man, what is he going to be taken away? You know, what happens when they get taken away? And they in that room of the owner's private stuff is like all this, I don't know,
Women's
it's like
clothing.
Yeah, is it?
Did you hold on? Did you not get like? I got kind of the chills when they opened up that door and all you saw was women's shoes, jewelry, clothing, and I'm just like, oh my god, this guy is like a woman murderer.
Yeah, it's like trophies.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I got. I've been recently binging Dexter. I'd never watched this. I've been binging the whole thing because they're bringing the series this fall, and so like that was the first thing I was like, oh god, this guy's a serial killer, and his trophies are clothes and dogs.
Yeah, clothes and dogs, because he seems to get every single. If they have a dog, he seems to adopt them.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Contrast that with the Disney style animation for these dogs. It's just creepy. It's creepy. Yeah. I love it. I love this issue. So I love the series.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to happen with it. And I have a feeling, I'm hoping my dog makes it in the next issue. I want her to be in there.
The first 2 issues was just stuff they already had on hand. Right.
Like, okay.
Yeah. So I actually, the Tony Fleeks was in a Facebook group, and I told him, I was like, I just want to pop in here and say I'm really enjoying the series. Expect my picture of my dog soon. He was like, go ahead and send it on. So I was like, yeah. So hopefully awesome. Both of ours will end up in there at some point.
Yeah, that would be so cool. But yeah, man, I think this series is awesome. I would love to see somehow if it continued on after the 5 issues, but I don't know if it can or not. Like, we'll see what happens. But yeah, guys, we got a lot of new viewers onto the show that I've been noticed. I've been popping it up today. So thank you for tuning in and listening to the show. And of course, thank you for all the veterans out there that have been watching our show for years and years. But you guys are great. Thank you for all the comments. And here we got one that says, great show all. 10K subscriber party won't be far around the corner. Congrats. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's obviously for me. I getting closer and closer to that 10K. So I appreciate that, guys. All right, so let's move forward. So we talked about Scumbag already. So we talked about that. So we're just going to jump into our number 3. And I'll start with Chris. Chris, what was your number 3?
Before you do that,
Cat's number 4. Power Rangers.
Okay. I was just gonna say, I think we talked about all our big books at this point. So
Mine was Power Rangers.
All right, cool. And Brant, what was yours?
Amazing Spider-Man.
All right, Kat.
Mine was Cable, issue 9. I just thought this was a fun issue where
I
Cable.
can't stand Cable's artwork. It's the worst freaking artwork.
I like the art.
Oh my god, they all look like little babies.
Yeah, I'll say this real quick. Tevia asked earlier what was my number 10. This was my number 10. So.
You even had a panel from it. I enjoyed all the interactions. I loved Emma. I loved Hope. I loved Ileana. I had so many panels from it. I will say it's slow, but it was a good character issue. They're gonna find the other Cable. It was great.
I don't know. I was just bored by it. Honestly, it was that one scene. There was a few scenes in it that I appreciated. I really liked Hope.
Thinks she's gonna she thinks she's Beyonce of her world. I thought that was great.
Yeah, that was great.
Awesome.
There was those little moments, but like as an overall story, I was just bored out of my mind.
They're still dealing with these babies.
Yeah, exactly.
Expect that.
I gotta find these babies. I gotta find Strife. It's my fault why he's still alive. I need to bring the old man back again.
Yeah.
Okay, so do it. Stop talking about it and just freaking do it already.
Instead, he's just gonna
goes nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. He's sitting at a bar with Logan. Is like, I need your help. No. Okay. Bye.
It's like you're giving away my number there, bub.
Yeah.
You owe me when I say you owe me, or whatever. I owe you when I say it.
Yeah.
But their interaction was so much fun, so it didn't matter.
Okay. All the art. It's so bad. They look like little kids. They don't even look like adults.
He is a little kid. No. Hope's a little kid. Emma's a little kid.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Get Cable.
It's almost over.
Yeah, two more issues. Get Cable.
In other words, get the trade for Cable. Don't get
honestly,
the trade.
If I'm being honest, don't get the trade. Only get Cable if you've been reading it. And all jokes aside, it hasn't been a great series, but this issue is better than other issues that we've been getting. Because the story's been going nowhere. But this at least was fun.
I'm glad we could all joke about it. That's what's fun about it. All right. So what was that? That was our number 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. We all went, right?
Yep.
All right. So let's move on to number 2. My number 2 was Taskmaster, issue 5.
Mine too.
Yeah, cool. Taskmaster was a great wrap up. Love the series as general. And I called it last week, Brant. Didn't I call it?
Yeah, you did.
I did. Maria Hill is alive, and she's the one that set the whole thing up. And she wound up tricking Taskmaster because she felt like, how else was I going to get him to work with me if I didn't trick him, right? So that was cool. But the one big thing that I got from it is remember we were discussing why is he so afraid of Black Widow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he explained it here in this issue why he was afraid of her, because she knew how to fight. His ability is fighting, and she knows how to fight, and she would want to kill him. Where the other people, they have superpowers. They're not smart. They use their laser beams and their brawn and everything else, but he can, outfight them. And so that was a cool reasoning on why he was afraid of her.
Yeah, and they illustrated that with that fight between the two of them where he's like Daredevil, Shang-Chi, Iron Fist, and all this stuff, and she's just countering every single move. Yep. Yeah, it was a good wrap up, and I think the other thing this series did was it built Taskmaster back up to being a formidable foe in the Marvel universe. Mm-hmm. So by the time it was over, it was you guys used me as your puppet through this whole thing, but I got one over on you on the end, and I walked free. So
and you found out the reason why he became Nick Fury.
Yeah, was
because of him.
Yeah,
his actions caused him to become Nick Fury, and I thought that was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was really cool too.
Really good series overall. It wrapped up really well.
That is a trade I would recommend.
Yes. If you guys have not read Taskmaster, if you've underestimated the character and thought he was a loser, you won't think he's a loser after reading this series. Jimmy says, I love Taskmaster. So that's pretty cool. All right. So, Kat, what was yours?
Mine was Batman, White Knight, Harley Quinn. We already talked about it.
Chris, what was yours?
I think he said he's gonna be back. I don't know if
Oh,
he
I didn't
returned
know
or
he was
not.
off.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
see it either.
All right. Well, Chris is MIA. We'll get his in a little bit. So let's jump on to our number one.
I'm
My
back.
number.
I'm back. I'm back.
Oh,
I'm back.
okay.
I was
Okay,
trying to
okay.
scream. I'm back. I forgot I muted the mic.
Okay. Well,
Mine was a book we kind of talked about. It was the recap of Teen Titans from Future State.
Oh, so Teen Titans Ruined.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Number one is a book that none of you read. So mine was Maestro issue 3.
You're wrong.
Before-
I'm reading Maestro.
What's that?
You're wrong. I'm reading Maestro.
Oh, you are? Okay. Did you read it?
No, I skimmed it.
So
I
doesn't
know
help
what
the
happens,
situation.
but I
He was
didn't read
not.
it.
So in this issue, the Pantheon, I don't know if you're familiar. Brand, do you know the Pantheon from like Peter David's old run? A bunch of characters that used to work with the Hulk.
Nah, I
No.
don't remember.
Okay, so they're the ones that wind up capturing Maestro in this issue. They put him in this tube, and they're like, "We got to revert him back to Bruce Banner because it's the only way we can kill him." Right. So what happens is, they wind up doing this mind thing on him, right? And what happens is, obviously, Maestro knows that it's a mind game. He strangles the guy. He starts killing them all. He breaks free, right? No, he doesn't. It makes you think as the reader that the Hulk actually was controlled and that the day was that he won. And they wound up tricking him. And it was just this whole mind thing. So by the time you wind up getting to the end of it, they did trick him. They reverted him back to Bruce Banner, and supposedly they shot him in the head. And they killed them. So it was really cool. You're like, oh man, he's killing the entire Pantheon. Nope, just kidding. He thinks that, and they trick him in seeing that he saw his mother and everything. And he's like, Mom, it's me. And she's like, I don't recognize you this way, Bruce. And he's like, look, and he transforms back and everything. And that's how they were shooting him. Yeah, really good issue, man. I was so surprised. I didn't see it coming whatsoever. Such a good issue.
The only thing I thought when I saw that was we're gonna get like an Immortal Hulk twist where he's gonna somehow survive it. That way.
Yeah, of course he's going to survive it. He's not going to die, but still cool that just the way they tricked you like that. That's what I thought was pretty neat.
Yeah.
You know, so really good issue. All right, Kat.
Our number one, so Detective Comics issue 1034 was my favorite by far this week, honestly.
Nice. Brant.
Mine too. Detective
Nice.
Comics.
And Chris.
I only have Teen Titans Academy left. I liked it. I'm sorry. I thought it was a good issue.
Hey, that's
Don't
what
apologize.
you like it. You like it. All right.
I'm glad you liked it, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So, Tevye goes, which Nick Fury?
Samuel L. Jackson.
All
Nick
of them.
Fury.
Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury. Yeah.
The current Nick Fury.
Yep. All right. So now we're going to move on to what is called the chopping block.
The Chop Block, where we cut books off of our pull list. I would love to say Action Comics for myself after that lovely artwork, but I never dropped Superman, so.
And I don't think you read the full issue, so.
I didn't read the issue yet, so yeah, that's true too. But at the same time, that art. Anyway, Kat, are you cutting any books this week?
I only had 7, so no
Brent,
cuts this
chop-
time.
Harley. I tried it. Even though I said I wasn't going to, I tried Harley Quinn, and even though it wasn't bad, it just wasn't for me. Yeah, I mean the art wasn't even as bad as I'm not usually a fan of that artist's art, but it was better in this book. But at the same time, it's still not a book for me. So,
Mike, you're not chopping anything, I'm guessing.
Well, I will say this. I am really on the fence about Alien. I don't know if anybody else read Alien this particular week.
I looked through it just briefly before the show to see if it would be something that like maybe I'd want to read really quickly. it's not giving me the vibe of this is going to be something I must read. I will say that.
Well, it was a type of story where it was about a crew member, right, that was on this space station that dealt with the aliens. Okay, he saved the space station, and basically, that's what you learned about this character. He's sick. He wants to reconnect with his son. His son is against everything that his dad worked for, and he's going with his girlfriend and this other bunch of terrorist people going up to the space station to try to go and like destroy it. And then you come across like an alien at the end or whatever it is. And it was like, okay, but it was just like, there was a lot of dialogue. I know it's setting up for things to come, but there was like therapy sessions and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't care about your therapy sections.
See, that sounds like it would bore the hell out of me. Yeah,
it was an oversized book, and it was just like, you could have done a little bit more to, I guess, I don't know, flesh out your main character and give you some action. There was just nothing action-wise in that book. So we'll see what happens. So I'm on the fence a little bit about that one.
All right. And that's all the chop block this week. So now we go to Brent with most anticipated.
Yeah, so not a whole lot of books to talk about this.
And also not a lot of big books. That's the disappointing part. Is like I'm actually getting more books next week. I think I'm getting like 8 or 9. But
next week's a good week.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. There is a lot of books coming out next
tomorrow.
Week. No,
next
tomorrow.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
next
the
week.
actual next.
We're not
week.
talking about
Right.
the books we're talking about now. We're talking about the books we're going to be talking about next Tuesday.
Yes, I agree with the week after that. There's some good books coming out.
Yeah,
Runaways comes out. Very excited for that. But tomorrow,
that's all Cat cares about. Runaways.
Runaways is the only reason I'm going to the comic book store next week. But I am excited for it.
Yeah, tomorrow there's not a whole lot. Yeah, so let's dig into some of these. So we got Flash number 768.
This is Wally, right?
This is Wally. I'm getting this because I'm not getting many books, A. And then B, what you just said. Wally's coming back. I did an interview with the writer, and he said, like, this is going to be fun, Wally. I'm not here to make him depressed. Like, this is just going to be fun adventures. So I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah, that's refreshing, at least. I don't want to see depressed Wally anymore. We got King in Black, Return of the Valkyries, number 4. So is this the last one?
This is the last one. I'm more excited for the next series. Like I didn't love this one, but the next series looks great.
Yeah, I just we didn't get enough of that. The one that has no name
still has no name.
She still has no name. You know,
it's getting a name in the next volume.
Yeah, but I just wish they would have meshed these two stories together somehow throughout this series. But yeah,
I don't think we needed this event. In all honesty, I kind of wish we had a little bit of the hiatus just to get into the next story, because the next one looks more in the vein of the stuff I like from Valkyrie.
Right? Yeah. No, I agree. We got Spawn number 316 for Chris and Mike.
I'm looking forward to that book.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to it as well. Just leading up to that whole Spawn universe situation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
New character could get introduced. I think his name was Plague or whatnot. Just like they keep introducing all these new different types of characters, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah. And we got Beta Ray Bill number 1, which I'm definitely going to try.
I'm checking it out too.
Yeah. So why not, right?
I'm not. So you're going to have to let me know how it goes.
I want to read me some more Beta Ray Bill, man. Come on. But
I don't understand the love for Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill's cool.
He's cool, man. He just looks cool.
That's what I was just going to say. People just like that he looks like
a badass. But he's a badass too, man. He's got his own hammer. He's a freaking horse.
That's cool, I guess. But I don't think I need a series about that.
Take his powers away, then he's just and he doesn't even have a nose. But
we like Jane Foster. We like Beta Ray Bill.
There you go.
That I think I'll take Jane Foster any day.
A number 1 issue that you are going to try, though, to Cat, I believe, is Shadecraft.
Yeah, that one looked interesting. It's like this teenage girl who, like, I want to actually get this correct because I want to sell it. Let me read it to you guys. The artwork looked really good. It's her name is Zadie, is afraid of her own shadow. She's a teenager, so she really should have grown out of it by now, right? But something weird's happening in her small town. Zadie could swear the shadows are coming to life, watching her, trying to kill her. But how do you fight something you can't even touch? And how does all of this tie into her family, of all things? I don't know. That all those themes seem really interesting. Art looks solid. I'm excited.
Who's the creative team on that one?
Let me see. Maybe it's a new Joe Henderson, Lee Garbett, who has done some good stuff, is the artist. I forget what they've worked on, but they've done, they're
I've seen their name.
Yeah, they've done stuff in the industry. I think this person has done Skyward. That's like their big thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then a book that most of us read, Crossover number 5. So it's. I don't know. I'm trying.
It crossed over with God Country was the last.
Okay, that's what it was. I was trying to remember how. Yeah, I was trying to remember how it ended. Still that was like, I don't know. I've never read God Country, so I didn't get the reference. Now I remember that. Yeah, so that's cool. I just love how it keeps pouring these new characters in. I mean, these not new characters, but tying all
old
these other
characters.
Yeah. It's a crossover.
It is a crossover. It's a cool concept. I want to love the characters more. I do think it's a much more plot heavy comic book. Oh yeah, but it's it's a fun book.
Mm-hmm. And then another number 1 we have is Witch Blood number 1, which I know nothing about this.
I'm also going to read the description. The reason I'm excited is the creative team. They've worked on some scout books in the past, and this is
a vampire book or something.
It's a vampire book. Supposedly, it's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets something. Let me get the description and read it because I don't want to butcher it. A modern Wild West road trip about a witch named Yana cruising the Southwest as a band of bloodthirsty biker vampires, the Hounds of Love, hunt her scattered coven for the source of all magic, witch blood. And that's the description, and it's American Gods meets Buffy. But I like this creative team. I've read their stuff before. I like their art. It's Lisa Sturl and Matthew Ehrman. So I'm gonna give it a shot. I've never read a Vault book, and I've only heard good stuff. And also, there's nothing coming out.
I've never read a Vault book either. I do like Lisa Sturl.
I think I read a Vault book once. I'm trying to remember.
The concept does not grab me, even though I like American Gods and I like Buffy. It still somehow does not grab me. But
I will say the Shadow one definitely grabs me a lot more than Witchblood. But I'm definitely going to give this one a shot.
This one's a hard pass for me.
All right, so
number ones.
One that's not a hard pass for Mike is Black Cat number 4.
Oh no,
such a good series.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see it back now without the King in Black, now to see how it leads into which, based off of the latest King in Black issue, how it leads into that next event that it's going to be taking place, because it surrounds her. So I'm excited for that. But obviously Jed McKay just got done doing Taskmaster, so now we get to see him on Black Cat. So I'm super excited about this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I remember back last volume when you just bought it for the covers and weren't actually reading it.
Well, I in the beginning of it, I didn't like it, and I bought it for the covers.
Right.
And then I dove into it when it had that, when she teamed up with Spider-Man. Yeah. And from there on out, I started liking it. And then I liked when she had that Iron Man suit, So from those issues on, that's when I started liking it. But yeah, in the beginning, I did just buy it for the covers.
Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it, though. And then the last book we got to talk about is Silk number 1. So
I think I got it for one of the covers because I really like the cover.
It's only a mini series, which I'm a little disappointed in. I like her character. I mean, I already read the issue, so I can't say much, but that's all I'll say.
I've always liked the character. I think her previous series had some good moments in it. I don't know.
How much do you do with her, though? That's the thing.
Right. Yeah. It's like that series, like, it dove into her past and her family and all that stuff, which was really cool to learn about. But yeah, beyond that, it's like, I don't know. She's kind of faded into the background a little bit, and I want a good Silk book, so I'm hoping it's really good.
That's the only problem about having too many spider characters.
Yeah.
Because how do you create villains for all these spider characters that are different from Peter's? And just like, what does another spider character have to offer in the Marvel universe? And I think that's part of the problem that Miles is having in this universe as well. You noticed how, again, in the Ultimate universe, it seemed to thrive there because it was his own thing. But we have all these different spider characters, and you see that their books don't hang around as maybe long as they should. Like even like Ghost Spider, Spider-Gwen, Gwen Stacy, whatever you want to call her. How many volumes has she had already? You know what I'm saying?
It's a shame that she doesn't even have a book right now, which is kind of, I mean, she just had a book, like it was a mini series, but like that's the one they should really, and obviously Silk too, because I think it's great that more Asian representation is great. So I hope we do get a good story with Silk. But yeah, with Spider-Gwen, she was so popular. So I don't know, it's hard because I do think every character introduces something. Like Miles, I love Miles, but I agree. I think he's a better character when he's not in the main universe because he had his own villains. And Silk, I like that. Without saying too much, I like that from what we saw in the past is that they tried digging into Peter's past, which is the Daily Bugle. So I think that's interesting. Now they're going to that angle. But at the same time, they're kind of doing something similar with Spider-Man now because he kind of went back to the journalism stuff.
Right.
So
he always will. But yeah, that's all the most anticipated.
All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to close the show out by just saying briefly what's going on in our world here. So, Brent, you have anything to say?
Yeah, definitely check out our audio version that releases on Fridays on iTunes, Spotify, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. And rate it and review it. We really appreciate that. It is it's growing each and every week, and that's all thanks to you guys. So I hope you're enjoying the edited audio version of the show.
Yes, awesome. And Chris, what do you got going on? Anything?
I've got a lot of normal stuff going on. I am doing Brooklyn Boys live shows. I think this week I'm going to be doing it again on Friday. So if anybody's around, Brooklyn Boys 13, youtube.com. I will be doing a Brooklyn Boys. I call them A live shows. They're basically like the 360s, except just me right now. I am in talks with the other boys. They might be coming back at some point soon. They're just very busy right now. So there's that. And then a lot of the normal stuff. Right now, I'm not doing Most Anticipated on Dark Avenger because I have major projects due for college. So that's why I haven't done any of those in a while. They should be coming back. I'm praying if not by the middle of April, definitely by May, once I get all the major projects for my 2 classes for college done. And that's all.
All right. And Kat.
I still got the Kickstarter going on, so we have 15 days left of that, so definitely go check it out. And then this Thursday, I have an interview with Alex Segura, who is a co-president of Archie Comics. He has a Kickstarter going on right now with The Dusk, which we actually have a crossover print for that, which is pretty cool. If you back up both campaigns, you get that print. And also we're doing a special kind of giveaway. If you back both campaigns at a physical level, you get it signed by both of us. And only one person will get that. So it's going to be like a special random giveaway. So definitely go support that. That's Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time is the interview on my channel. So go check that out.
There's one more thing. Next week, we will have Madeline Holly Rosing on the show for a segment. She just launched Boston Metaphysical Society, The Book of Demons today on Kickstarter. So she'll be on. Yeah, so she'll be on to talk about that briefly next week. So tune in for that.
Awesome. Sounds good. And then for me, guys, you can go on to my channel, Comic Book Corner 2.0, and make sure you watch some of the videos so you can enter my Road to 10K X-Men giveaway. And actually, I'm having someone donate some X-Men books to the channel so I can add to that giveaway, and you'll see that very soon, which I think is kind of cool. I should be getting them in the mail shortly. But check out my top 10 comic book covers of the week. Check out my top 10 most anticipated comic books for next week. Stay tuned for the haul tomorrow and any other videos during the week. Hopefully you'll check them out as well. So with that being said, anybody else have anything else to say? No,
No.
that's a no. Just for you guys that are listening, everyone's shaking their heads no. So that means we're going to do the final goodbyes. And make sure, everyone, you subscribe to Comic Book Weekly and Comic Book Corner 2.0. Don't forget to hit that bell for all those notifications. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and not TikTok. And make sure you give us a thumbs up. And guys, till next time, this is all of us waving. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Take care.